A Washington state auditor says the cannabis industry's tracking software has failed, you guys. That's right. Miggy, this is for you because it's in your home state. The Office of Washington State Auditor said in a recent report that the state's seed-to-sale tracking system for cannabis products has failed and is unlikely to satisfy its stated goals until 2031, nearly 20 years after legalization. In a report released last week, the Office of the Washington State Auditor found that the state's stopgap cannabis industry product tracking technology, Cannabis Central Reporting System, the CCRS, has failed. The report notes that the State Liquor and Cannabis Control Board, known as the LCB, has no plans to implement a better system until 2031, nearly 20 years after cannabis was legalized by voters in the state. In a quote, a robust seed-to-sale tracking system has been under development for 12 years, but is yet to be fully realized. The adult-use cannabis market has changed throughout these years, and at this time, I believe this report can serve as an important framework through which state leaders can engage with LCB to establish clear goals for ensuring accountability in our modern adult use cannabis system. Evaluating Washington state oversight and cannabis industry follow-up issues, the Office of the Washington State Auditor back on 10/22/24. And in its 2018 report, the Auditor's Office recommended the LCB implement a cannabis tracking system for a data-driven, automated approach to enforcement. However, the recent report found the state, in quote, lacks a data tracking system that easily and reliably tracks cannabis products. The report notes that the CCRS lacks real-time tracking information and has limited data input protections, which means that the LCB relies on licenses to report accurate and complete information. Additionally, the report says that licenses cannot easily access or correct their data after they upload it, and the lack of a single identification number makes it difficult to track products for quick product recalls. The report suggests a system that tracks cannabis products from seed to sale has consistently reliable and current data and automated alerts, you guys. Well, it sounds like Washington State is one big dumpster fire, and it sounds like everyone could just, trap like they're in Oklahoma, but nonetheless, I can't wait to hear what you guys have to say about this.
Well, I don't think you can even do that in Oklahoma now, because I'm pretty sure they have metric fully implemented there.
They do.
I think the funny thing about this is this is not the first issue that Washington has had with their traceability system. Their first contract was given to
BioTrack, right?
Yes. Yeah. And the reason they did that was because look at their structure of how they set up their system. They had I don't know if they still have the rule, but initially they had a rule that you could be a cultivator and a processor, but you could not own either of those licenses and a retail license. They looked at what we did in Colorado for our medical law, which then was the groundwork for our adult use law, and just decided to go the other way. We had at the time MyMITS, which is now known as Metric, as our traceability system. They wanted to do something different, so they used BioTrack, which was a giant shit show, and they had to take that contract away and re-award it. And I don't know the system that you were just talking about, Jason. I don't even know who the developer of that is, because it's not. I don't think it's being used in any other state, but. This is just funny to me because they have not figured out their traceability at all. And by the time 2031 comes around, I'm hoping that we don't need traceability at the level that we've had over the last 10 years.
It's really interesting to watch because, like, Sohum, we were in Colorado at the same time, and it's like our system for all of its failures worked pretty freaking well. So the fact that they would look at that and be like, screw it. Let's try something completely different. Like, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. And that's the frustrating thing when we see states implementing new processes. Go look at what works. You don't have to go A, B, C, D. You can go A to G because we already know that those in the middle don't work well. So I don't understand why we continue to see states do this over and over and over again and just get it wrong.
Yeah, but
on top of that, the city of Denver
and Colorado were developing the systems at the same time. They were the first to legalize. So keep that in mind. There was no wheel invented. They were both inventing the wheel at the same time.
That's partially true, but our medical system in Colorado actually was the first system that had business licensing and seed to sale or clone to sale traceability. So my MITS was implemented on our medical system prior to adult use. So we might not have had a lot of experience, but we had something. We had groundwork that worked, which is partially why Amendment 64 passed when it did.
Well, one interesting thing is Miggy 420 of Cannabis Legalization News. He says seed to sale is seed to fail, and he is out of the state of Washington. I find that very, very, very interesting. Miggy 420, very, very cute. And
we were talking about in the chat, they're saying diversion isn't an issue. Diversion is not the only issue that is blocked by seed to sale, right? We just saw in California a tremendous embargo, and that is because adulterated product was brought into the licensed facility and put into licensed products that should have been marked safe, but maybe weren't. And so I think that that's also an issue. We're not looking at just diverting things from the licensed market to the illicit market. We're looking at unsafe products possibly being put into the chain of custody for licensed brands.
And the public safety issue is valid too. Being able to track batches and issue recalls when necessary, I think, is really the only legitimate reason for any kind of traceability like that, because it's a public safety concern.
Absolutely.
It could also be used to detect burner distros in major diversion, but it's not used that way, at least in California. So let's not pretend metric is the solution. Many operators would prefer Meadow to be the provider instead of metric, so I'd rather have Meadow in charge.
Shout out to David.
Well, it's interesting because Miggy is still in the chat. And he says that hemp gets flowed into these markets as well, and there were D9 extracts put into edibles in the state of Washington.
How much did the state of Washington spend on this program?
You know what's funny is that is not in the article.
Well, it's definitely got to be. I mean, that was an open RFP, I'm sure. So there has to be a public number somewhere.
Well, not only that, but it's controlled by the liquor liquor division, which is basically the state of Washington. So that's all taxpayer money. So they have to show some type of accountability somewhere. I just find it interesting it wasn't in the article.
Yeah.
Well,
I just think it's comical. That basically every computer system a state takes on is a piece of shit. And I don't know why that keeps happening. You wonder who's getting paid off that's making these decisions. It doesn't seem to be that hard for businesses to bring in these systems that can keep track of their own inventory. But when it comes to the state, they just screw this up royally.
And the reason for that, Dale, is because we have a habit in this industry of rebuilding technology from scratch, including point of sale systems, which has always blown my mind. Why are we building brand new point of sale systems? Those have existed forever. They should be able to be scaled from other verticals into cannabis. And it's the same thing with traceability and regulatory software. We shouldn't be building them from scratch. And that's why most of these systems are pieces of shit, because they're less than 10 years old. And by and large, they're not necessarily built by super experienced tech professionals, or they're built by tech professionals who don't know jack shit about cannabis.
Well, why can't, because Sohum, then the Chad bros can't have their own little piece of the pie.
Yeah. Thank you for saying that. You need to put on that one, Jenny Beth. And they know how to sell to people who like shiny objects. Like all these, your POS is a digital cash register. It's designed to count your money, keep you compliant, keep things in place. But they just want to sell on features, and people want to buy on features, and people keep on saying that they want to buy on features. They're going to keep on selling it to them.
Which sucks, because most retailers don't even know how to use said features, especially the reporting features, right? You have all this ID metadata, which is the most valuable asset in the world, and you don't even know how to look at it to target your consumer to properly stock your store. But I'll get off that soapbox.
I'll get right back on that soapbox. Go to happycabbage.io and help you mine your own data out of your POS. That's exactly what we do. Show you where the fucking money is.
Oh boy. And on that, we're gonna roll.
I got one more point. The reality is when some of these other bigger companies like Toast, for example, non-cannabis specific companies, once their risk tolerance goes a little higher, their risk aversion goes down, and they're open to getting into cannabis. Look, I'm not saying there's not any good custom cannabis technology products. There are a few that are out there, but everyone's lunch is going to get eaten when Oracle comes to play and starts buying for federal and state contracts, or Toast comes to play and starts selling their point of sale system in the cannabis industry.